Days we're looking at the angles of elevation and angles of depression. Okay, you're gonna see those two words throughout all the word problems. So we have to recognize where these angles are, and that way we can use it to solve for whatever side or whatever angle we are looking for. Okay, so knowing the placement of these two angles is going to be important. Recalling our three functions, we're still looking at sine, cosine, and tangent, right? Our SOHCAHTOA. Our elevation, if you think about elevating your foot, if you ever injured your ankle, your knee, they usually say ice and elevate, right? You prop it up on a pillow, you ice it for, 15 minutes, I think, and then rest for 30 and repeat. Something of that sort, I remember. Long time ago, last time I did it. So elevation is when you're looking up. So your elevation will always be the angle of your triangle as you're looking up, okay? So this is going to be your angle of elevation. So go ahead and mark that as your angle of elevation. All right, if you think about depression is usually when someone's down, right? So not that it's going to tie in with that emotional example, but the fact that they're down, depression is our view looking down, okay? So if you see a little guy above the wall, the little guy above the wall is up here, and he is looking down. But when you're looking at depression, it always needs to be with a horizontal line. So it always needs to be looking down with a line going straight ahead. Same thing with elevation. Now, if you look at these two angles, let me highlight it with a highlighter here. If I look at these two horizontal lines here, and I cut that through, if I can cut it through straight. Does anybody know what type of angles they are? If I was to draw it over to the side, let me draw it over to the side. You have the two horizontal lines and a line cutting through. And we're specifically looking at this angle and this angle. Does anyone remember what those angles are called? Interiors, alternating interiors, good. These are alternating interior angles, which means that alternating interior angles, again, when the lines are parallel, and the lines have to be parallel because we're always looking at it in regards to a horizontal line going straight across. These are going to always be congruent. So what I want you to underline that the angle of elevation and the angle of depression are congruent by alternating interior angles. They're going to always be equal. So my recommendation is, if you have an angle of depression, move it to elevation, because you never know which one is going to be helpful. So for example, here we have Jose, who decided to go skydiving, and his friend Chris decided not to go skydiving. He agreed to record the dive for him instead. Jose sees Chris at a 38-degree angle of depression. So here's your depression. It's looking down, again with a horizontal line, right? So he's looking at him at an angle of depression of 38 as he sits on his truck recording the whole event. Jose is 12,500 feet above ground level. How far apart are Jose and Chris? So they're asking you for the length of the distance between the two individuals. This is your angle of depression. And again, I'm going to stress that even if they give you depression, move it to elevation. This is going to be your elevation here. Okay? So then you look for your triangle. These will be drawn for you. So you're just going to focus in on one triangle. Does everyone see where the triangle is? Hopefully. All right. So here's your triangle. And then once you've made your triangle, once you focus in, it's the same steps we've been doing. So what do? We mark our angle. Do we have anything on the opposite side? Yes. Do we have anything on the hypotenuse? Yes. So what am I using? So I'm using sine. So we're going to do sine. Remember, so is S is equal over H. So this is going to be sine of what degrees? 38 is equal to 12,500, all divided by x. Good. Don't forget the 1. All right, the 1 allows us to cross multiply. 1 times 12,500 is just 12,500. Remember that when you multiply these two, I always want you to put what's in the denominator first. So x sine 38. So what do we want to do to both sides? Divide by sine 38. We're rounding this one to the 10th. So we were doing hundredths. Let's do the 10th. Can someone enter it in their calculator and see what I get? 12,500 divided by sine 38. 20,330. It's a big number. 20,303. Sorry, I can't see. 0.36. So your tenths is right here. So should that round up? Yes. Our answer is going to be 20,303.4. And like I said before, if you don't round it, I'm not going to count it wrong. But I do want you to practice that rounding piece, okay? All right, that's it, class. As long as you can move your angle of depression to your angle of elevation and then do what we've been doing, that's all it is, okay? When you're ready, we'll go to the back side. All right, here we have a search and rescue team that's airlifting people from the scene of a boating accident when they observe another person in need of help. If the angle of depression of this other person is 42 degrees and the helicopter is 18 feet above water, what is the horizontal distance from the rescuers to the person to the nearest foot? So again, it's already drawn. This is depression. Depression is congruent to elevation. So elevation is going to be down here. You're going to move it down here to the bottom. Now you have everything inside your triangle, right? Because we want everything inside the triangle or surrounding my triangle. So we mark the 42, just like we have before. We mark the 42, and what am I going to mark? I'm going to mark the opposite, and I'm going to mark the adjacent. Do I need to mark the hypotenuse? No, good. So SOHCAHTOA, which one uses O and A? The TOA does. T is O over A. So we're going to write out tangent. Tangent of what angle? 42 is equal to, what's our opposite? 18 over x. Good. Put your 1 on bottom. 1 times 18 is 18. Always bottom first. X tangent 42. All right. Do I need to divide or am I good to go? Got to divide. Thank you. Tangent 42. This one's going to the nearest foot. So what's our number here? 19.99. So 19.9. If I'm rounding that to the nearest foot, it's going to be 20. Correct. We're rounding it to that spot there. This is going to be 20. So this is how high up the lifeguard is. It says the lifeguard is watching a beach from a line of sight 6 feet above the water. So he's 6 feet above the water. Okay, and she sees a swimmer at an angle of depression of 8. The question is, how far from the tower is the swimmer? So I'm going to make a triangle because every picture is going to end up being a triangle. So the question is, am I going to look for the hypotenuse or the other leg? The other leg. They want to know how far the swimmer is from the tower. All right, so I'm going to let you guys work it out now. All right, so we should have moved the 8 to the bottom. Again, that was depression. The depression's here. Elevation, again, elevation is your view up. So this angle is also 8 degrees. Remember, they're the same by alternating interior. So according to this 8 degrees, what do we have? We have the opposite and we have the adjacent. Good. Is that sine, cosine, or tangent? Tangent. So we're going to do tan of 8 degrees is equal to our opposite over our adjacent. Don't forget your 1. 1 times 6 is 6, and this should be bottom to top, x tangent of 8. So is this multiplying or dividing? Dividing. All right, this one doesn't have us rounding anywhere, so what do we get for a decimal? What'd y'all get? 26.7? 42.7. So we'll go to 42.7. Anything around there would be correct. All right, looking at the next one. The next one doesn't have the numbers. It gives you the numbers, they're just not placed on the picture. It says a tree on ground level casts a shadow that's 30 feet long. The angle of elevation from the tip of the shadow to the top of the tree is 70. Find the height of the tree. So what's 30? The shadow. Your shadow's always on the floor, class, okay? Shadow's down here when we see it. So there's your shadow. It's 30 feet, not 30 degrees. 30 feet. The angle of elevation from the tip of the shadow, and most questions will be like this. The tip of the shadow to the top of the tree, the angle of elevation is 70. So do you think I'm going to place it up here or down here? At the top or at the bottom? It's going to actually be at the bottom. Elevation, remember, elevation is your view up. So this is going to be 70 degrees. The question is, how tall is the tree? Should the X go on the hypotenuse or on the other leg? The other leg, good. From there, once you have that, then hopefully it's just repetitive of the last 2 days. You mark your angle, we have the opposite, and we have the adjacent, good. So this one would be tangent of 70 is equal to X over 30. Ooh, this one's nice. I always like these. Right, because you put the one on bottom. You already see the numbers are touching, so you should know that is what? Multiplying. So 30 tangent of 70. What would 30 tangent of 70 give us? 30 tangent of 70. 82.4? 82.4? All right. So we're going to go with 82.4. All right. All right, yours already has the numbers, so we're just going to try solving that one real quick, okay? According to the 52, what two sides do we have? Opposite and adjacent, and that makes it a tangent function. So tangent of 52 is equal to, and this is another what? Multiplying or dividing? Multiplying. So this will be 23 tangent of 52. What did y'all get to the nearest tenths place? 29.4. 29.4. So it is 4.3. Our tenths is here, so we're going to stop it at the 4. So it should be 29.4.